And we are back. We live. What's up? Hello. It's finally 4 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully the Dolphins, the official 53 has not come out yet. What's up, Franklin? How you doing? Good afternoon. We should finally, we're getting pretty close. Like we've seen, the cuts throughout the days. We'll go over all of that. Guys who are potential practice squad candidates, I think, which is definitely very nice to see. Definitely looks like I'm lagging a little bit, but hopefully that can figure itself out here pretty soon. But yeah, we'll definitely go over this stuff. If you guys have any questions, we'll get into that. I think the latest news that just happened was the Odell Beckham Jr. news, which is very interesting. I don't see anything coming out right now, but yeah, the Odell stuff. I know people will be mad about that with the signing and how people perceive that thing. I guess he'll miss the first 4 weeks, but it does open up a spot for someone else to make the initial roster that they don't want to lose. I know people are talking right now about Tanner Conner, Andrew Meyer. We'll see who ends up, making it out of those guys. What's up? How you guys doing? But yeah, so we got the Odell news. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks starting on PUP, but that does open up spots for others. And then we will scroll through here. Some of the later cuts, like recently Chris Brooks was waived / injured. That's one that is definitely one of the ones that hurts the most because I'm a big fan of Chris Brooks. I'm hopefully a lot of these guys can come back to the practice squad, the guys we like at least, Brooks being one of them for the running back room. It felt like that's where it was going, especially after he got injured. It felt like that was where it was going with him, but that injury might allow him to get back to the practice squad. I like what he brings to the table, so overall, I feel pretty decent about it. I'm still looking for updates as they're happening because we still don't know with certain players who's going to make it. It does look like, I think Barry Jackson said true center, which the Dolphins don't have that after Aaron Brewer, so that will be interesting to see how that plays out. When will they announce the practice squad? So tomorrow. It takes about 24 hours for guys to go through claims. So tomorrow we should see who gets claimed and unclaimed. And then after that, they will start adding people to the practice squad. So it will at least take 24 hours. But Brooks should be one of the guys they go after right away, I believe, to get to the practice squad. So, hopefully that can happen. Mark Perry was cut. I think Mark Perry, Jordan Colbert, those are two safeties that were cut, undrafted rookies. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins target one of them to bring back. I think Perry might get more attention because I knew other teams were interested in him pre-draft. But nothing too crazy there. Some other names, the names we expected. Are we not down to our 53 yet? It hasn't been, unless it just got posted. It's definitely down to the 53. They have to put it in by 4 o'clock, but not everything has been put out there yet. So we're waiting on the official news, but Dolphins beat reporters have not reported a complete 53 down. Let me see if they've tweeted anything in the last couple minutes. Yeah, the last thing they're tweeting about was Odell because Odell's on the PUP. So it hasn't. We're still waiting on the final adjustments. Other news: Nick Needham. Nick Needham was one. Any wide receiver you want to pick? That is nice. There was a lot of receivers today that I would be interested in. The Noah. I think they could potentially make a difference on the Dolphins roster, especially with the injuries they have right now. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though we're going to see our final 53 right now, guys, the initial 53, I wouldn't be surprised if it changes, legitimately in a couple of days. And sometimes you add someone to your roster and then you immediately put them on, a short-term IR because you want to use it, then you bring someone back that was, you might have cut too. So, things will change around too. But yeah. Yeah, Storm Duck still has a chance. Storm Duck, Patrick Morris, Andrew Meyer, Tanner Conner, those are some names that are still make it or not. Nick Needham did not make it. I know this is one, I think they will try to get him back on the practice squad, but I think Needham will probably end up elsewhere. Just feels like the direction that's going. Audio is cutting in and out. Damn, man, I'm just lagging. Not sure what I can do about it. My God, okay. Well, hopefully it just gets better, but yeah. Yeah, I see that my frames are dropping. I might have to just fix it next time for the stream. Because I don't think I can do my settings mid-stream where it will end it. Yeah, I can't do it while it's in, but hopefully. Yeah, so Needham, Isaiah Johnson. If you guys miss me say something, yeah, Ben Skoranek, that's interesting too. Isaiah Johnson was cut. I think he's someone they're going to definitely try to bring back to the practice squad. But I do think out of the young players that were cut, like the young UDFAs or like second year guys, I think Johnson is the most likely to get claimed out of this group. We cut Chasen Hines, Matthew Jones. I think Matthew Jones is a potential practice squad guy. Curtis Bolden was cut. That one hurts me. I think Curtis Bolden was probably the best linebacker in the Dolphins preseason. Yeah, Chris Brooks was cut. He was a guy I would like to bring back. They did waive/injure him, so that might make him get through waivers because of the injury claim they did with him. I think that was intentional, for sure. But I do think he'll be like one of their priorities to bring back. Curtis Bolden, yeah, that hurt. I thought I would love to bring Bolden back. He looked way better than expected. Neville Gallimore was cut. I know people were kind of surprised by that. I think I saw a lot of people kind of surprised by Gallimore, but I didn't have Gallimore on my initial 53. It just felt like that's how the team saw them. And I think after the first sort of, I'm trying to like find this 53-man roster, but like after the first preseason game, I think Gallimore didn't show up as much in the other ones. Like he still had some flashes, but not as much. Jaquan Byrne cut, nothing too much there. Leonard Payne, I would think would be an interesting addition to the practice squad. Jason Maitre was cut. Maitre was one of, I think, the best players in our preseason, but with that DB room, him being like a nickel only player, I feel like this was kind of where it was going. But I think Maitre is a prime practice squad candidate because I do think he would get through waivers, and I think the Dolphins would like to bring him back. I think Isaiah Mack is another practice squad candidate out of these players. Like we also cut Mike Harley, Jaden Janke, Robert Cooper, those players, But I do think Isaiah Mack played a pretty good preseason, and I think Isaiah Mack getting cut. It looks like right now we have 6 defensive tackles. I think they haven't cut Jonathan Harris or Brandon Peely or Deshaun Hand. They're all on the roster currently until we see a little update because they still do have to cut. Like there still has to be a few more releases happening. I think they need like 4 more or something like that, but who knows? Looks like Storm is on. I think it looks like my connection's been better, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. But yeah, that looks like we're still waiting on updates, whether it'll be like, because who we got left? Because on my 53, I had Storm Duck and Patrick Morris both making it, and I think that could happen now. I only had 3 tight ends, but I think there's a chance for a 4th tight end now with OBJ starting on PUP. I don't know if they're going to keep an extra receiver because they still haven't cut Braylon Sanders out of the receiving room, who I think could potentially not go. Personally, I would let Braylon go because I think you get Braylon Sanders on the practice squad if you really wanted to. And then at the tight end position, I think, try to get Tanner Connor. I think that would be a pleasant surprise. Good for him. He had a good preseason week 1 game, but then had the injury. But I think, that could go either way. Andrew Meyer, another name. Just kind of waiting to see any final moves. Also, there's guys out there that were cut today. Definitely some intriguing ones. I know Dolphins fans are all over Twitter after every offensive lineman that's been released, just like, tweeting about it. There was some interesting lineman cuts, but I'm going to wait until see if we actually claim someone to like really do film breakdown. But Tanner Connor's on. Yeah. Like, did they finally, have you guys seen an update yet? I know people are like, where's the initial 53? I still don't see anything, But yeah, this will be interesting. Someone is vacuuming. Good, perfect. And I know, I think Barry Jackson tweeted about a few guys that I think they would like on the practice squad. Like he said, Hayden Rucci is potential. He said Isaiah Johnson they would like to get back. Even Nick Needham, he said that about him. He said the same thing about Jordan Colbert and Mark Perry. I think the thing with these cuts, I don't think the 53 is as important as it used to be because practice squad is so important now. Like, you're going to get 16 of these bodies back. Like, it used to only be 10. Now you're going to get 16 guys, and plenty of these guys get elevated, play year in, year out. Odell, the next Brandon Jones? I think you mean Byron Jones. You can't hear anything? Okay, that's good. Because it was loud for me. I think I have my mic settings good enough where it doesn't pick it up. That's nice. Nice to know. But it doesn't look like it's been announced yet who the the final few people will be that will make it. Yeah, it is sad to see. Like we talked about the Chris Brooks thing. That does mean that it's going to be, Achane, Mostert, Jalen Wright, and then Jeff Wilson. Unless Jeff Wilson, has anything, that goes kind of crazy. But yeah, we hopefully, since they waived him / injured him, that he comes back. It looks like the B reporters still haven't tweeted anything about the final roster, so we're just waiting on that, but I think out of the players that have been cut, I think, Chris Brooks would be Isaiah Johnson, and then maybe like, some of these veterans, potentially like a Neville Gallimore, like those guys could definitely get claimed. I haven't watched him in a while, but from my understanding is the fans of that team are not fans of him. Like they were glad to see him go. So I don't know. I think I do think the Dolphins will potentially reach out to people, but I will be, if they bring someone in, I will definitely be watching the film to see what my actual thoughts on it, because there was some receivers cut today that would be interesting, like, the Noah Browns, Cody Thompson would be interesting, things like that. And yeah, people will be mad about the Odell Beckham Jr. thing, the OBJ thing, but Dolphins kind of expected this. I think people are overreacting a little bit, to him being out. I think this was, not out of the woods. He has been around. I don't think this is a Will Fuller or Byron Jones things like some people think. It's definitely okay to be cautious. But at the end of the day, is it really hurting just to have him there? Like all of his money and guarantees is based on playing time. So it's not like we're, wasting too much just having him on the PUP and then he can become a valuable player later on. It does means we get to see players like Malik. Hopefully Ezukanma is healthy because, we know he kind of got banged up a little bit, but like Malik Washington, Ezukanma, we get to see if they've stepped up, and actually can make an impact early on in this season. It would be nice to see Washington get some run, because I do think once that room's healthy, I wonder like how they're going to do some of the IR stuff too with like Craig Kraft. I wonder Walker could be on there. But yeah, there is still some players that we haven't seen released. Like, yeah, I just saw like we haven't released like Anthony McFarland yet, but like he's definitely not making the team. You know what I'm saying? Definitely a good opportunity. And I do think this is a good opportunity for guys like Jonnu Smith to be very involved early on, which is a nice thing. Jonnu Smith potentially even getting someone like a Tanner Connor if he's on the team to like get involved in some of the action, because we don't. And Achane, I think it's big for Achane. Yeah, Finn should be featuring running back and tight end in the passing game, especially in these first 4 weeks. Definitely getting them involved. Oh, my connection just dropped. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, but yeah, we're waiting to see these final cut downs. I don't know how it hasn't been released. Like, it's 4 p.m. Eastern. Like, the cuts had to be made, Like, how has no one found out if he makes it or not, So I think it will be a good opportunity for some of these young receivers to potentially see some looks early. Not a lot. I still think the team will be heavy Waddle, heavy Tyreek. I think Barrios will get a lot of looks in the slot. Not a lot, but like some looks in the slot. And then we're going to see a lot of the tight ends and running backs involved in the receiving game early on. When is the player that gets me mad because he got hurt week 7? The offense played good with him. Yeah, the Wynn injury is weird because I feel like we don't know anything about Isaiah Wynn. I'd be more worried about Isaiah Wynn because it feels like OBJ has a quicker timeline to come back, but we have no idea if Isaiah Wynn will be coming back or not. Storm Duck's still on there, I think. Yeah, there hasn't been any reports about it, and they think Duck has a decent chance of making it. Play Achane as a slot. Yeah, he'll see work on the. I think Achane saw more work lined up as a receiver, whether it was on the slot or on the outside, more than like any other running back, like percentage wise last year, like, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, we're still waiting on the news. They haven't said anything. Unless you guys seen any updates on Twitter? I'm scrolling through right now. I do not see any like final roster, even though it's 4/16. Which is crazy. Perry cut, Johnson cut. I thought that tight end from Wisconsin was great. I think they know Rucci is going to get through claims, so I think they felt comfortable with Rucci getting to the practice squad. That's why I said, like, I made a video on Rucci today, like on his film, and I said, like, in the video, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a practice squad guy. That's pretty much where I feel about it. There's just, and the reason for that being is they already have 2 wide tight ends out of the 3 that they were potentially keeping, so that's why I think they would have leaned someone like a Connor if they do go in that direction, or they just keep 3. And if they could, I think, there's not a huge need for like these blocking tight ends around the league who are kind of slow. I don't think teams are like, we need to go and chase after that type of player. They feel like they can probably get them in the practice squad and still make an impact. And yeah, and just because we'll see the initial 53, but like it doesn't mean that's going to be the 53 going into the season. I'm pretty confident things will change, whether there's an injury and then someone gets brought up, or they decide, like, now that we've kept this guy on the main roster, we feel like we can cut him now and then get him to the practice squad and then bring in someone else that was waived from another team, Do you share with us who has been cut? Yeah, here's, this is, here, let me see. And let me go, boom. Okay. This is everyone who has been cut according to the Palm Beach Post so far. The PUP is these guys, plus OBJ. They didn't have a Chubb, Isaiah Wynn, Cameron Good, and OBJ will be here, so they'll miss the first 4 games at least. Wave/injured is Chris Brooks. And this is everyone who's been, released/waived. Mike White, Jody Fortson, Robert Cooper, Isaiah Mack, Mike Harley Jr., Jaden Jenke, Jason Maitre, Leonard Payne, Jaquan Burton, Neville Gallimore, Curtis Bolin, Matthew Jones, Jason Hines, Nick Needham, Isaiah Johnson. These are some of the bigger ones. Wyatt Ray was released, Jordan Colbert, Hayden Rucci, Mark Perry. And it's surprising, like, we still haven't seen some names who are, like, guaranteed to be released yet. I don't know why. Like, some of the, like, Anthony McFarland's and Needham, Bolton cuts, Brooks cut. Yeah, I would like to see Bolton on the practice squad for sure. I feel like he showed way more better than I expected, so. Yeah, Bolton was the best linebacker of the preseason. That definitely sucked, man. I didn't like seeing that. I was a big fan. Oh, new update. Here we go. Cam Smith going on IR per source. Fins can designate 2 to return from guys placed on IR today. So I think it's going to be Cam Smith and River Craycraft put on IR, and they're going to be designated to return guys because they can do 2. And I imagine they're only doing this with Cam Smith because I think the other one's going to be Craycraft. So that's the update. Cam Smith on IR. So that makes me feel like Storm Duck has made it, right? Like, Storm Duck's on the initial 53. Yeah, so Cam Smith on IR, Storm Duck initial 53. He made the squad. I've been saying this, that Storm Duck was the most likely corner to make the team. I guess he could still get cut. Like, don't get me wrong. But it feels like Storm Duck's chances have increased. I think it also helps. I think the Nick Needham cut was good for Patrick McMorris's chances to make the team. Eazy-E done for a year then? No, I don't think Eazy-E's been placed on anything, so. Unless he just got placed or something. But Cam Smith put on IR, and you can designate, if you put people on IR today, you can designate 2 of them to return. This is what Barry Jackson is saying, so I'm imagining it's going to be Craycraft and Cam Smith. Because Craycraft is going to miss time. Put him on IR. I think it'll be, and then Cam Smith, they just put on IR. If they put him on IR today, then that means they're probably doing that thing with him. Because I don't think they want him to miss the whole season, and I don't think Cam Smith's injury is, like, that serious, So I think that bodes well. I feel pretty confident in thinking that Ducks made it now, because he would have had to have been an extra deep corner on the roster if we were keeping Cam Smith. But if you leave Cam Smith, like, they already cut Isaiah Johnson and Maitre, who were, like, the other guys kind of fighting for spots. That leaves you with Fuller, Ramsey, Kohu, Saran, Neal, Bonner, and then Duck. That would be 6. Anything out tight ends? Our tight ends. I mean, so far they've cut Fortson and Rucci, so it seems like either it's going to be Connor or just the 3. They either keep Connor or just the 3. So, but yeah, that's the latest news that we've seen. The Cam Smith thing is interesting. Sometimes these injuries sucks, and it seems it's not good that it's happening. But with these new rules, like now, because last time you would have had to keep Kim Smith. If he was going to go on IR, you would have had to keep him on the main roster. And then after that, you would have had to put him on IR after your initial roster was set. And then you have to bring someone back. So you'd have to cut someone. Now you don't have to cut someone like a Storm Duck if that's what you wanted to keep, which is interesting. Yeah, I think the receiver injuries are going to potentially help Tanner Connor make it, but yeah. Did Center Meyer make it? He hasn't been cut yet. Barry Jackson reported that Meyer's camp thinks that he made it. So far it looks like he's made it, but nothing's been official yet. Nothing official. I don't know why it's not official because it's 4:21 Eastern and this was supposed to be at 4 Eastern, but Storm Duck was my favorite of the bunch if he did make it, which looking likely. Watch him just get cut now after I've been boosting it up. But I liked Duck, Isaiah Johnson, and I liked him more than Maitre, even though I'm a big fan of both of them. And I would love to see them all stick around. They could potentially all make it to the Maitre and Johnson can go to the practice squad. Duck can make the roster. But yeah, that'd be really interesting. I wish we could cut. Oh wait, no. I believe Wednesday. Yeah. Tomorrow after the claims because it has to be official. Oh, I am losing frames. Can I click? I wish we could cut Barrios. Lucky Todd is hurt. There's just way too many injuries to cut Barrios. I know people want Barrios gone, but it's just not happening. We literally have 5 wide receiver injuries, and Barrios knows the system. It's not someone that could come up to stop the run. I mean, I wouldn't say he's compared to. I mean, most corners aren't crazy come up stop the run guys. I wouldn't say it was a big weakness of his, not a big strength either, but yeah. And Jonnu Smith is also playing as an F tight end, move tight end. He's going to line up in the slot. Yeah, he's much more of a receiver than a blocker, How has this stuff not been announced yet? It's crazy. Make sure to like this video. Yeah, go like it. That would help it out, I think. It helps out with the algorithm, apparently. I don't know how any of that works, but yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Washington, yeah. I hope Malik gets work early. I mean, I'm guessing on kick return, we're going to see both Malik and Barrios back there because you have 2 receivers in the back. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Barrios on punt return, but I would also like to see Malik take over at some point this season if that's how it goes. What happened with Cam Smith? He's got put on IR, so I'm guessing, and you can put 2 players on IR today that you can designate to the return, and I'm imagining Cam will be one of them. Third wide receiver, Mechie. Oh yeah, John Mechie would be interesting too, but the Texans cut other receivers today, so I think they're trying to trade Mechie. And there's Tim Patrick is another interesting one that's potentially getting traded from the Broncos. I think he's a good player, and he would bring some size to the receiver room, which would be Noah Brown's another one. Noah Brown played for the Texans last year. He's just a smart, good player, and he's tough. He can block. And he had some big plays for the Texans last year, and they run a very similar system to ours. So I wouldn't be against a Noah Brown, because they don't need to bring in a top receiver or anything. They only need someone for 4 weeks until OBJ comes back. Then Rivers comes back, players like that. But I do think they should add receiver help. There was a few receivers cut today that are interesting. How do you cut Brooks when Nelson never ran 50 yards like Brooks has several times? It's a trust thing. They really just trust Wilson in the system. Also, Brooks is injured. I think that plays a part in it. Last year when Brooks made the roster, Wilson was hurt. And they felt like they could probably just get Brooks back on the practice squad. If Brooks is back on the practice squad, you can easily keep him around. The practice squad is basically the same as the roster right now. Do you think we can use Washington as a No, Malik's a different player than Debo. He might get some usage potentially what Debo does, but they're not the same player. Any linebacker cuts? Bolton did get cut. Curtis Bolton got cut. We still have 5 technically because Tyndall and Riley and Walker, they're all still there. There hasn't been any updates on them. I hope Bolton comes back to the practice squad. I like Bolton a lot. Our team is devastated. Is devastated by injuries. Ooh, Vikings safety Lewis sign has been waived. Okay. Just trying to scroll through and find something. How is it not out? I really don't understand how the full thing isn't out. Skylar got cut? No. Mike White got cut yesterday. And so the QBs are 2 wins, Skylar. I wouldn't be surprised if a QB is potentially added. Most likely the practice squad, though. I think it will be the practice squad at first, and then they might elevate a third QB at some point to the main roster, like full time, just because the new rule didn't come into effect actually. So I think that could change things, but I think they want to keep some players on the roster currently. Cam Smith's obviously not coming Bonner ahead of him. He's DB3 right now. I don't know. I mean, Cam Smith will have his opportunity this year. This is his opportunity to prove it, though. Like when he'll get some playing time at some point this year, and he has to make the most of it. But I do think Bonner will get some playing time potentially early. The Tannehill dream is still alive. It is possible, but they might wait on Tannehill because I don't know if there's really a point of bringing him in right now. And I don't know if Tannehill would want to sign to be a backup. I feel like if he was okay with being a backup, he probably would have signed. I feel like you only bring Tannehill in if like your QBs get hurt or something. Yeah, they haven't released the 53-man roster yet. We've seen players get cut, but they have not released every cut that's happened yet. So kind of just chilling. Walker, linebacker, got hurt, correct? If that's the case, we should be shopping for some linebackers. Here's the thing, though. I thought Walker might have been one of the guys get put on IR that designated a return. But since they just did that with Cam Smith, and I think the other one will be Craycraft, I think Walker might just be on the main roster. But we'll see. Duke Riley and Tyndall are still out there. I don't know any linebackers that were technically released today. Honestly, the OBJ thing might just be big for Achane. Achane might just be your biggest receiver. I mean, Achane's going to get work no matter what. It doesn't matter who's healthy, who's hurt. Achane's going to get a ton of work. He's one of our best players, honestly. I just joined Who's Gone So Far. I can pull up this. Let me pull this up. There. Okay. Here who's been released / waived. Chris Brooks is waived / injured, so hopefully we can get Brooks back on the practice squad. Placed on PUP is this plus OBJ, and then placed on reserve / injured. This just happened. Cam Smith. So Cam Smith name should be right here. But these are all the guys who've been waived. These are all the names. Still waiting on everything else to happen. Achane on my fantasy. Yeah, I haven't drafted yet, but I'm definitely going to be trying to target Achane. They could just bite the bullet and put Craycraft on the roster. I guess so. It's not impossible, and then they can put him on IR after the fact, after it's like settled down, and then it can be short-term IR. It's just today you can only put 2 for short-term IR. Should I draft Achane round 2 in fantasy? Depends who's on the board, but I think it's not a bad spot for him. Especially, are you in is it just like a regular league? PPR? Superflex? Yeah. But let's see. I don't think, has any more information come out? Like, how have they not reported like certain players that have been waived? Like, I don't think, let me look at the, like they haven't reported like Anthony McFarland or Daquan Jackson, a linebacker they just added, or the edge defender David Anene or whatever. Like players who you're like pretty sure are going to get cut. They haven't been announced to be cut. Like we haven't seen Ryan Hayes be cut, or Bayron Matos. Who else was I'm pretty sure to be cut, but hasn't been cut yet. That might be it, but like, how have those players not been announced yet? Like, I don't get it. How are we still here? It's 4:30. Yeah, the injuries was the toughest part about predicting it. Like, obviously it was also the most stacked, I feel like we've been top to bottom in a while, but yeah, the injuries definitely made it very difficult. But yeah. Anthony Schwartz, I'm pretty sure, is out for season with a knee injury. I'm pretty sure Taj is out for season though, because they put him on IR. Like, I think he's guaranteed out for season, at least from my understandings of the rules. Does it? What? I guess yeah. Sometimes it takes a while. I guess. You think Finns ignore medical red flags? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think usually when they take a chance on like medical red flags, it's usually like a lower risk type move. But Mine too even said he's got a little time. Well, he said he just gets out the ball fast, so he doesn't care who's in front of him, which is fair. Like, there's a reason the Dolphins. Like, I agree. We should be at, like, I would add a line. I do think it would help our offense be more consistent, especially in those games, specifically in the passing game. But there is a reason they focus on interior O-line less than everything else, because one, it's just the nature of the offense. It's not as important as a position. You can look back to, like, basically these exact type of scheme being ran in the Shanahan system. Kyle, his dad, Alex Gibbs, they've always put little value on interior O-line, and I think they just follow suit with that. But Wilson over Brooks drives me crazy. Yeah, it's tough. I would much prefer Brooks. Honestly, I would just get rid of Wilson too. Like, I would get Brooks. If they don't want into that, I would cut Wilson still. Even though they already waived Brooks, I would still waive Wilson to keep another person. Potentially. It depends who it is, but I wouldn't be against just doing it both and then trying to get Brooks back to the practice squad. I just don't think, at this point, I don't think Wilson's a bad player. I just don't think he adds much value to this team, personally. Yeah, I do think there's a decent chance you get Brooks back because he is injured. And running back is a position you can find. Jesse Davis at guard. I saw yours released today. There's some funny things on Twitter. People are comedy. I think Tyndall is linebacker 4. It's definitely possible. I made a video on Tyndall 2 days ago. I don't know if Tyndall. I don't know if I would be comfortable with Tyndall playing off-ball linebacker, even though he's very productive in that preseason Week 3 game. It is the way he makes plays that I just don't think he'll be a consistent off-ball linebacker like ever in his career. I do think he does a good job when he's going downhill, and I think he might be better as a situational pass rusher. But yeah. Yeah, I don't think. Still nothing. Who knows why? We got the IR exemptions. That hasn't reported either, but I'm imagining it's going to be Cam Smith and Craycraft, right? Because Cam Smith got put on IR, and then we know Craycraft's going to be out a while, so I think they would just do it for him. It makes the most sense to do it for River, unless they just keep River on the main roster and then put him on IR after the fact. But I don't know. Maybe they're still thinking of trying to trade Wilson. It's possible. I know, yeah, Wilson to Dallas. I've seen Dallas fans say like they would be interested in a Wilson trade, but we have no idea if they're actually interested. I know they're probably looking for a running back. But who knows? That's true. Brooks has also struggled with injuries. I mean, a lot of our running backs have had injury history now. Wilson is another one who's had a lot of injuries. And the Dolphins are a type of team, they've always kept a lot of running backs on the roster, especially initially, so it doesn't necessarily surprise me. But who knows why it hasn't been officially. I'm trying to just maybe just Sean Hand. Yeah, we still haven't cut. We still have 6 D linemen, I believe. Let me look at this. Yeah. Because we cut Mac, we cut Cooper, we cut Payne, not Lane. We cut Gallimore. So yeah, we technically still have Sealer, Benito Jones, Campbell, Hand, Peely, Jonathan Harris. Benito Jones has been missing time with an injury. We don't really know what it is, so that could change things up. But I do feel like Peely and Hand are going to make it. Jonathan Harris, I don't know. Do you recommend the Scouting Academy online course? Yeah, if you are interested in being like doing scouting, I definitely recommend it. For sure. Why is it? What do you mean? What do you mean, Daniel? Why is it negative 84? What? Oop, lagging. Let's see. I wonder if we'll potentially. There was a lot of people. Obviously, there's a lot of people cut today that, you might not expect. A lot of them are just names at this point. There are also some underrated players. I wonder if the Dolphins will put in any claims. Dolphins are late in the claim order. They're going to be like 21 or something, right? So based on their thing. Peely is also hurt, but I'm pretty sure Peely practiced yesterday. So if he was practicing yesterday through an injury, he was going light. That means at least, he's not too far off from playing. That's truly that is true. They're always not like the greatest at announcing things. So far, I missed my 53 projections. Brooks, Smith, Gallimore. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really count the Cam Smith one. The Brooks and Gallimore one are would be misses. The Cam Smith one's he's put on IR. He's still on the he'll still be there. But yeah, those are he was practicing Peely. Yeah, so yeah, Peely should be around. I like that. I feel like I'll say this: Peely might have had the biggest jump this season out for the defense. I feel like Julian Hill had a big jump for the offense. Like just so from what we've seen so far, I feel like Peely looked much better. Like Peely showed some promise last preseason, but was inconsistent. I feel like Peely looked way better this year. So that's pretty nice to see his development. It was a guy they liked. Why do we cut Needham? So many DBs, just so many, man. Like we still had to cut Isaiah Johnson and Maitre. They want to keep Storm Duck. I believe that. And I think it's mainly because they want to keep Patrick Morris, Elijah Campbell, Marcus May. Like, it's just too many bodies in the defensive back room. That's the biggest problem. And who knows? Needham could potentially come back. I still don't think so. He did. Yeah, he did. I do think Needham is potentially, he might have been back to full health, but he has, missed some times. You have a lot of and Needham's more of a nickel. He does offer safety versatility, but we do have a lot of people that can play that nickel spot. So I feel like that's just the direction it was going. Bailey Zappi for QB3. I wouldn't be against Zappi on the practice squad. Wait, how do I get rid? I have to get rid of this. Okay, there we go. I didn't realize it was still on the screen. Who's Quinn Bell? He just came out of nowhere. Oh, Quinn Bell, he was on the practice squad last year, and then he had a good camp. The only problem with Bell is I still have just not seen, he barely played in the preseason, and he didn't do much when he played. So, I don't really have any thoughts on Quentin Bell, at all, because I have, no film to go off of, and he's barely played in the preseason. So we'll see how he looks in the regular season, because I do think he'll potentially see playing time. I agree with this Lee, for sure. I agree that the Houston is interesting. Houston has a lot of receivers, and they cut some. Elijah Campbell and McMorris make it so Needham doesn't. Yeah. I'm inclined on finding information. Where you find the roster? I was on Twitter finding most of the information. I know Barry Jackson's tweeting stuff. Palm Beach Post has a lot of these roster updates. Not everything, but I'm kind of waiting. We still haven't seen the official. Oh, yeah, Broncos released Tim Patrick. They didn't even trade him, so Tim Patrick is released. I wouldn't be against even signing Tim Patrick at receiver. He's an interesting one. I think he's now, 2 years off the ACL injury, and he's a big body, and I actually think he's a pretty solid player. I don't know. I think Denver cut him because they were focusing on younger guys, yeah, that's interesting. Mechie, yeah, Mechie is good, but I don't know if we're going to get Mechie. I think other teams are just going to be more interested. If he gets cut, I think they're trying to trade him. I'm guessing he's going to get traded. But I would like Mechie, but I just don't know if we're going to do that. Tim Patrick is nice, yeah. I agree. Yeah, we still have that's pretty much all the news up to this point. I think we've talked about pretty much everything, unless you guys have any more questions about some of the players that have been cut. I'm just waiting to see if the Dolphins actually, release the information, or if which I don't get, because they've had to tell the people that they were cut. They had to at least tell them, at 4 p.m. Eastern. They had to put in the information. So I don't know how some of the beat reporters haven't found it out yet. Did you cover Zappi? I watched I watched Zappi coming out of college. He actually would probably be pretty interesting in the system. But I haven't watched. I've seen some of him play for New England, but I don't know. I don't really put too much stock into the QBs after Tua anyways. Is Guy the future after Tua? No. I like Tim Patrick, but do we really need an often? Well, he just had like a big injury that's caused him to miss time. And he looked pretty good in the preseason. Like, he looked like he was back to healthy. Like, I'm not against kicking the tires there because I like legitimately think Tim Patrick's not like you're spending a ton on him. So like, I would be all for going after someone who like it's a low risk, high reward type move, you know? Let's see. Oh shoot. Why am I lagging? Yeah. Do we really Skoranek is who caught to as a player in the dirt? Well, yeah, Skoranek also has experience in this type of system. He played for the Rams. He played like fullback for them. That one would be interesting, but I don't know if we go there. I would rather Hartman. Hartman would be interesting. I think at this point, like you said, thoughts on Tanny or free agent. I think at this point, I would probably go. At this point in the season, I would go for a younger developmental guy that I could get on the practice squad. And then as the year goes on, if you have like an injury, then I would probably go 3 QBs on the main roster and then add a veteran with that. I would add someone young now that you can try to develop, get to learn the playbook, and then add a potential veteran down the line that you actually, because I think some of these guys would stick around. Yeah, Noah Brown is a name I like. Noah Brown's one of the names I like the most, I would say. Yeah. I think Huntley's interesting too. But didn't the Browns keep all 4 on the initial roster? They kept Winston, DTR, and Huntley. At least that's what I saw. Right? But I don't think they're going to keep 4. Like I think they're going to try to trade one of them. So yeah, you probably have to trade for Huntley. Pratt's interesting too from Packers. Yeah, he's a young guy to try to develop. I wonder if they'll go in that sort of direction. Yeah, I guess we could just. I would have loved DTR would have been sick, JC, but the Browns would have been foolish to get rid of DTR because I actually think out of the young guys that people have kind of talked about, I actually think DTR out of those people like actually would have a chance to develop into something like a starter type. All the other ones are guys who like might be decent backups for you, but nothing more. Yeah. Are you hanging rumors about Winston to Miami? I doubt Winston. I think the Browns are trying to trade Huntley. I don't think they're going to get rid of Winston. I feel like they feel confident with Winston as their backup. Plus, with the Deshaun Watson injury, they're probably trying to keep a couple guys around that can initially play. Still nothing. I'm seeing every team like that get reported every few minutes. Like, oh, these guys were all released in waves. Eagles released someone, Matt Hennessy. I see CK Parrott would be interested in that. That is interesting. I've watched Hennessy play in a while, but I would watch that film if they go after like a player like Hennessy. Still hoping, like the Storm Ducks, the Patrick Morris make it. Obviously, when all of the rookies should make it. Elijah Campbell, I'm a big fan of. I wonder if they'll bring back guys like Matthew Jones to the practice squad. We'll see if Andrew Meyer makes it. I think Andrew Meyer and Tanner Conner are kind of the big ones where I'm like, I don't know. Like, they could make it, they could not right now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised either way with Meyer or Conner. But I like both of them. I think there's upside there with both of them. But I also think there's a decent chance you could get them both on the practice squad if that was really the direction you wanted to go. Like, I think it's not a guarantee. That's kind of you're basically playing a game of chess, Yeah, I would be all over Tim Patrick, I'm not going to lie, if that's the receiver. Because we don't, look at our receiver room right now. Our receiver room is Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, who are both kind of injured. Not a lot, but kind of. Then there's Barrios and Malik Washington, 2 slot receivers who are both your only healthy receivers. Like, fully healthy is Barrios and Washington, and they're both your special teams, punt return, kick return guys. Then you have Ezukama, who's like your guy you're hoping breaks out this year, but is also currently injured, and you still don't know if you can rely on him in the regular season. Then you have no one else. Like, Craig Kraft's going to be out. Odell's on PUP. I guess they haven't cut Braylon Sanders yet, but I think they should. Who knows? Thoughts on Alex Leatherwood? I'm not about it personally. I'd have to like. I do have to like. The problem is I really need to watch film on a ton of these guys. And I watched. I wasn't a big fan of Leatherwood even coming out, and he was out of Alabama. And I know he has not had a strong start to his career. But yeah, we're just hoping something happens. And there is definitely, I've seen people talk about more O-linemen being released from other teams. I could definitely see the Dolphins being interested in O-line. We still don't know what they're doing with guys like Lester Cotton or Andrew Meyer, so that's kind of why it's hard to say what they're going to do. Like, they might just stick exactly with what they got. But I also think with the Andrew Meyer thing, the reason I would be down for Meyer to stay is he's actually just like a true center. And the Dolphins rarely ever have like true backup centers, Renfro or Barrios? I mean, I like Renfro, but I think they're going to roll with Barrios. I think the problem, I like Renfro as a player. The problem with Renfro is we already have Barrios in Washington, who are undersized slot guys. Renfro is a slot-only player. We really just don't need his type of receiver. That's why I would rather go after a Tim Patrick, a Noah Brown, some of these other players who are pretty interesting that maybe even under the radar, like a Skoranek or a Cody Thompson. Lewis Sign. Yeah, I saw this, Lee. I actually liked Sign coming out. That's an interesting cut. I just don't know if we have the room. Like, I don't want to cut like a McMorris for him, I feel like McMorris has shown a lot. Alec Lindstrom. Yeah, I saw he was cut. I haven't watched him since college, so I just don't know how he's looked. So I really just don't have a strong opinion. If we sign him, I will definitely watch the film. But yeah. Did the coaches believe we're good on O-line? I mean, the reason they believe they're good on O-line is not because they think like the O-line is the strongest in the league. Like, I think they know it's one of the weaker ones, but it's because of the system that they run. It's just not as valued as much. They don't think they need to spend like highly on it. Like, if you watch like Alex Gibbs, old school coach, one of the first guys to like the guy who really started outside zone in this league. You hear him talk about offensive linemen. Like, he's like, we never took offensive linemen early, like in their drafts. They never put a big thing on it. They just wanted guys who could move really, really well out in space, especially in the running game. And then they thought they could get away with their quick passing game to not really have to focus on guys who are great pass protectors. Now, do I necessarily agree with that? I think I understand why they put less of a focus on it. Like, I definitely do. Like, I understand why they put more of a focus on like receivers and, other positions over interior O-line. But I do feel like they were in a position where they could have at least put a little more stock into the interior line. But yeah, that's just how, like, I would have taken an interior line with either our first or second round pick. And that's all I would have needed. Like, that's pretty much the only change I would have made. Like, I don't think they needed much more. Like, I think it was like they added Brewer at center. I think Brewer is a good, like, he's hurt right now, but I do think he's a good fit for this scheme. I just think they needed a guard, like one more guard, and they would have been pretty much fine at every position. Some option, yeah. I think they could, like, one guard being questionable. Like, one guard spot being questionable is fine. Like, every team has questionable spots, and it's understandable for the Dolphins to go with the guard being one of their questionable spots. I just wouldn't have had it been both guards being like their questionable spot, Do you win playoff games with good trenches? Definitely helps, but I just don't think there's like one way to win, like you could still win in the playoffs. It's just like, that's why home field advantage is super important for the Dolphins. Even though I do agree, like, I would have been all over like a Graham Barton or a Haynes in the second round or something like that. How is it really not? How is it not? Dude, it's actually crazy that it hasn't been announced. And we could still trade for one. That is true. Like, there's definitely a possibility for a trade. I think the Dolphins are definitely in the market. I think they have the cap space for it. Like, they release guys like Mike White over Skylar Thompson because that saved them cap. I think they're going to try to roll over cap to next season, obviously, because that will help a lot. But I think they have the cap, they have the resources, they have the draft picks next year. I think it might not happen before the season, but I would not be surprised if we're a couple weeks in and the Dolphins make a move. But as you know, it takes two to tango. Also, I think they're going to wait to see how the waiver wire plays out potentially, or they could trade before the waiver wire thing, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's talked about James Daniels, but that's just like, oh, I don't know why the Steelers would trade him though. I think they'd be pretty foolish to do that. Obviously, I would be totally down for that too. Huntley was a Pro Bowl QB. Yes, Huntley should not have been a Pro Bowl QB, by the way. He played 4 games. I don't know why he was a Pro Bowl quarterback, but I do like Huntley, though. I will say that. Like, he's not a bad backup to have. But I don't know why. Yeah, Glowinski's available, I'm pretty sure. Where am I from? Oh, I live in Tennessee. Let's go here. Trying to look up if there's been any updates. Driscoll is a good backup center, better than Eichenberg. I think Driscoll's just a better overall offensive lineman than Eichenberg, personally. I think he's a better guard too, and definitely a better tackle. They both have played tackle at some point in their career, but I would take Driscoll there. What is the difference between active PUP and short-term IR? Well, technically they're both like short-term IR and the PUP are actually pretty similar. I'm pretty sure they both return in 4 games just based on the rules. Like they would have to be out for 4 games. I just think they have different like number limitations, but I don't know because it changes every year. Like legitimately they change the injury rules every and people don't even know. Like the beat reporters were wrong on rules just a couple weeks ago, and literally a day ago they were wrong on the rules and had to change it. IR means you're done for the year. No, long-term IR, yeah. If you're putting IR now and you're not on the short term, like the 2 of the guys, yes, then you're done for the year. But IR used to mean like a few years ago, like if you were on IR, you were done for the year. But now there is IR rules, like you can return, you have up to a certain number, especially once the season starts. But if you're put on IR now and you're not one of the 2 designated, then you're done for the year. But yeah. Do we need a better backup QB? I mean, I'll be honest, with the backup quarterback position, like I would be down to upgrade, but at the same time, like I think you can survive it. If Skylar has to play like 1 or 2 games, I think you can be fine and be fine, you know? Like be fine, make the most out of it. But like if you needed a QB to play like an end of the season, the rest of the season close out for you, I think if that happened, like knock on wood, if Tua went down, I think you're just screwed anyway. So like I don't think it matters, you know? I will subscribe. Cool and calm. But I would definitely be down to bring in someone. I'm not the biggest Skylar fan, as you guys know. I mean, I think he's fine. I feel like Miami has a lot of fans that are not in Miami. I feel like it's a pretty good, like, well-rounded fan base, surprisingly. Wow. Still nothing. We haven't had a single update. Not even, like, just one person. Like, they haven't announced one cut in, like, since it's been 4 o'clock. single cut. Tannehill? I just don't. The problem with Tannehill is I don't think he's the greatest fit for this system. But Tannehill, like talent-wise, yes, he would be better than all of our backups, which is Skylar and Mike White, who was there. I just don't know if they're like Tannehill wants to be brought in right now. I don't know what he's thinking. Who's better, Skylar or Huntley? Probably Huntley, but I would need to watch Huntley again just to be like sure if he was a good fit for the system. Like I remember watching Huntley play and thinking he was a pretty solid backup. But I just need to know if he's good for the system before I would be like super comfortable with like going after him, you know? Because I think that matters. That's the toughest part. Like that's why it's like this offense is so built around Tua's skill set. And Tua's skill set is so unique. Like there's not many quarterbacks that have the same skill set as Tua. There's a few of them in the like Brock Purdy has a similar skill set. CJ Stroud plays in a similar way. These are guys who do good work in their scheme too, like Tua does, which they run similar schemes. But there's not many of them that play within the timing of the scheme, throw with the anticipation into the windows that they do. It's very difficult to find a backup who can come in and run that at that level. That's why I think the Dolphins have one of the biggest fall-offs when they have a backup come in. Nothing. Still nothing. Still not an update. This is crazy. Let me see if they've said anything. Nope. Last update was Cam Smith going on IR 39 minutes ago. Justin Fields. Justin Fields would not have been perfect for our system. Let's see. I'm just gonna look this up. Let's see if it's been anything at all. No. See if they've updated their depth chart. No, they have not. Trying to look in different spots to see if anything has happened or been announced. Nope. Miami's site has not been updated. Nothing. That sucks. Wish we got Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is going to be Cowboys backup. Yeah, nothing happening. Great deep ball passer, had no wide receiver in Chicago. We need mobile QB. Fool. I think the problem with I actually don't mind Fields as a potential like development QB, and I actually would like to get a mobile QB as our third guy on the practice squad. I think that would be cool. The problem with Fields to Miami is I don't know if there's a worst fit in the league, like quarterback wise, than Fields for the Dolphins system. That's the only problem. Tyler Badgett. I don't think that Chicago is going to move on from him. Yeah, I think the Bears be kind of dumb to move on from Badgett. Isn't it Tyson Badgett too? I think it's, I don't know. There's just, yeah. Still no update. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think they made any like trades or anything. Just well, send him Braxton. Zappy is in now. Yeah, I mean, I just don't care too much. Like, I really don't care too much about like another quarterback, to be honest. Like right now, here's what I would be looking at. I think with all the receivers released and with all the injuries, I would actually be okay if the Dolphins added a receiver. Like, I'm not against that. I think that'd be a smart move, personally. So receiver would be one. O-line, obviously, I think adding whether it's depth or potentially a starter through a trade or someone who can compete for a position, I think that would be cool too. I think O-line receiver definitely, but we'll see how that plays out. I don't know if they will unless they find someone who's like a clear upgrade. I think they're fine at running back. I think they're fine at tight end. Defensively, I don't know if they'll add anyone unless there's someone that got released. Like, I don't think there's like a position where I'm like, oh, they need to add someone on this part of the field defensively. It's probably already hard enough as it is to find cut downs on the defense, you know? So I think like receiver and O-line would be positions they're potentially adding. Maybe D-line as well. But I don't think it's a must or anything. Let's see. Still nothing, guys. Yeah, and we have Odell on the PUP. Obviously, we knew that. See if this has been updated at all. Hopefully, we can bring back guys like Isaiah Johnson. Isaiah Johnson would be one of the main ones to bring back. Jason Maitre, Hayden Rucci. A lot of the UDFAs have that. It looked good. Allen Robinson. Yeah, I'm not really. I think Allen Robinson's kind of. I think he's done. Maybe it was 4 p.m. PST. Any UFL QBs available worth looking at? I don't think so. Probably not. I don't know, to be honest. But looks like that is all they got. Oh yeah, Tua is the most important player on the roster. Like if he goes down, we're screwed. Like he's not the best player. Like Tyreek's the best player, but like if Tyreek went down, we could still win games, you know. But if Tua went down, like we're not winning many games. Yeah, that's what I've been looking at Barry. So it has been interesting. They just went MIA. That's the last thing. Yeah, he hasn't said anything in 45 minutes. But hopefully it happens at some point here. Let me like see the last time Miami Dolphins Twitter account tweeted. Nope. They have not said anything helpful, no. Scroll away. Okay, we're good there. Need to bring Fitzpatrick back. DJ Wilson is basically the same as Fields. Must not watch what I was. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyone do the math to see what we're down to now? How many left to cut? That's the problem. Is like there's the obvious cuts that still haven't been announced either. So like, but I can try to do the like. Okay, let's see. We have our 2 QBs. So that's 2 quarterbacks. Running backs. The running back room is probably set. We're probably good on the running back room. We have Mostert, Achan, Jalen Wright, Jeff Wilson, Alec Ingold. 5 right there. So that's 7. The tight end room is where it gets tricky. Do you keep 3 or 4? You still have Tanner Connor on the roster, so you kind of have 4 there. Trade for Vita. Yeah, I mean that would be crazy, but that's not gonna happen. The O-line or receiver room, you technically have Waddle, Tyreek, Malik, Ezukanma. I don't think they've cut Sanders, but I think they might just keep 5 here. Just so you could keep an extra tight end on the initial roster. You technically still have 60 linemen on the roster. Do they cut Jonathan Harris? Do they not cut Jonathan Harris? They're kind of deciding that. I think you have your 5 edges: Phillips, Kamara, Bell, Chop, and Agba. Off-ball linebacker, you still have David Long, Jordan Brooks, Duke Riley, Anthony Walker, and Channing Tindall. They could keep 5 there, but also very likely they could keep 4. So do they cut one of those guys? Like they cut Riley, Tindall. Is Walker injured still? Does he make the initial roster? How do they work that around with the injury thing? That could change stuff up. Max Duggan. Well, I'm pretty sure the Chargers QBs were like the worst QBs in the preseason, even worse than ours. So like, I don't know if they're gonna look at that direction. Duggan was with the Chargers, right? They love Tanner Connor. I'm down for Connor and Meyer to make it. I think that'd be cool. Anthony Walker is kind of the key to that linebacker room because it's like, if Walker's injured, then I guess you just keep both Duke and Tyndall, you know? But if he is healthy, like you definitely keep him because he's definitely your third best linebacker after Brooks and Long. Like he is actually a pretty good player. That is, interesting. Tyndall's a lock. Yeah, I think he makes it. I don't know if I would say he's a lock, but I think he makes it. Desmond Ritter. Ugh. I mean, on the practice squad, maybe, but he'll probably just go back to Arizona. Did rookies make team? It looks like it. I mean, it looks like all the drafted rookies have made it. I mean, the only question mark is McMorris still, because we don't know how the safety room is going to play out. But I hope he made it, because I would love that. I'm hoping McMorris makes it. I'm hoping Storm Duck makes it. That's how I feel. Dave, okay, one of the beat reporters just tweeted out 2 undrafted rookies made the Dolphins' initial 53-man roster, Storm Duck and Andrew Meyer. So David Feronis, I don't know how to say his last name, but David tweeted out that Storm Duck and Andrew Meyer made it. So they're the 2 UDFAs that made it. One on offense, one on defense. I mean, I kind of like, but I mean, I definitely love Duck. I'm a big fan of Duck. I understand why they're keeping Meyer because he's a very athletic center, and they probably don't want to risk it because it is kind of hard to find centers with that movement skills, and they want to develop him. I could tell Meyer's one of those guys when you watch him, I'm like, oh, I could actually see him putting, on some strength, putting on some muscle. I could see him being like a guy that actually develops into like a playable center. Like, I don't know if he's gonna be like he's not gonna be like a top tier player, but I could see him develop into like a playable guy. Damn. Oh wow. Remember Keydron Smith, guys, from last year? Remember Keydron Smith? He was, I think, Ole Miss DB. He was a UDFA for us last year. He made Denver's roster. I was a fan of him. Yeah, Meyer is interesting. I'm a fan of that. Duck was my favorite of the DB UDFAs, so definitely will be making videos on Duck and Meyer soon because I want to make videos on the guys that made it and also the guys that make the practice squad. Obviously, the guys that stick around. Jason Hines got cut, so he would have to be a practice squad. Meyer just needs to put a little bit of. I'll say this: Meyer's biggest weakness in college was his anchor. Like, his play strength was not good. When he got bullied, he got bullied. His anchor still needs work, but it already looked way better just in the preseason, which is good because he's going against better players in preseason than he did in college playing at UTEP. So it's nice to see that he at least already improved in that area, and he's obviously still athletic. I actually think he did an overall pretty good job in pass protection. So yeah. Yeah, the same doorknobs. Yes, Matthew Jones, the Ohio State free agent guard, did get cut, yeah. He's a potential practice squad guy. I think a few of these guys are potential practice squad guys. He's one of them. Not everyone is on this list that I'm seeing, but a decent amount of them are. We actually had a pretty deep roster this year. Let's see. 49ers released some people. Not too interested in any of those guys. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Barry can do with Meyer. I'm a fan. I'll definitely get a video out on Meyer. I did one after his preseason week 1 game, but I didn't do one after week 2 or this week 3 one yet either. So I can pull film from both of those games and we can watch how he's performed because he's definitely shown some promise. Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it. Shout out to all you guys too. Shout out to you guys for watching. Yeah, that's like the only thing. And I don't even know how like confirmed that is, but one of the beat reporters tweeted out that's all he said. Andrew Meyer and Storm Duck made it. I don't know how he knows without other people announcing like the cuts yet, but hopefully he was 100% right, you know. Yeah, they've. What do you think about Steel Chambers? I liked him coming out. I liked some of his film coming out of college. I didn't watch him at all this preseason, so I don't know how he performed. But I mean, he'd be an interesting name. But I really want Curtis Bolden on the practice squad. I thought Bolden was our best linebacker in the preseason. I thought like his instincts, the way he plays the game, is how I prefer linebackers to play. Like him and Tyndall both had really good preseason week 3 games. Like they both were productive. They both were really good. But the way Bolden makes plays just is how you play that position, and it translates to future success, in my opinion, to the way Tyndall plays. Like Tyndall's is a little more inconsistent with his splash plays, and I also feel like I've talked about it. I think Tyndall should potentially play a different role. Like I'm not saying a full-on position switch, but like with how he's playing, like he should, you know, play as a blitzer often. You get after the passer and stuff like that. Dude, you guys hate Braxton. And I'm not the biggest Barrios fan, but Barrios isn't bad, guys, okay? He's not bad. He is a rosterable NFL player, and I would have agreed to move on from him if we didn't have all the receiver injuries. You ready to yeah, I'm like, should I end it or should I keep going waiting for them to actually announce it? Like, what do I do? Yes, the breakdown he did. Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like I did the Bolden one. I felt pretty. There's just some players you watch and you feel really confident. Sometimes there's players and somebody you watch be like, ooh, was that a scheme thing? Why he did that? Or was that the player? But I felt really confident watching him. Like, oh, he's playing the position the right way. Like he at least proved to me that he's an NFL level player. Whether that's on our practice squad or some other teams, who knows? But I'm trying to look through the comments. Our punter is trash. Barrios is mid. I feel like I see these comments every time I stream. Our punter is trash. Barrios is mid. I do agree on the punter part. And Barrios mid is, yeah, I agree more with that than him being like terrible. Because he's not terrible. Like Barrios is a good special teams player, and he also does a decent jobs converting on third down, but I don't think he does enough on offense where I felt like, oh, we needed to keep him, you know? But with the wide receiver injuries, like, yeah, he's going to stick around. Like, I would be surprised if he was gone now with the receiver injuries. But like if OBJ and Craycraft were healthy, then yeah, I would feel better. Underutilized. That is a big thing. We do like, that's why I'm like, I really want to see a lot out of Malik, but we do kind of underutilize the slot position. I kind of agree because we do run a lot of. The problem is we run a lot of 21 personnel, so that means you have 2 running backs on the field, 1 tight end, and then 2 receivers. But I do think we're going to run more 11 this year. That's the difference. Like I think they brought in OBJ for a reason, so OBJ can play on the outside. You can move Tyreek and Waddle to the inside on certain reps, and then when you have Tyreek and Waddle on the outside, you can have guys like Malik, Barrios. You can run more 11 and run more guys in the slot. I think that will help out the offense this year, being able to run, 11 at a higher rate. Because we ran 21 more than anyone, I think. At least we were definitely in the top of that. And I think with the tight ends now, we'll be able to run more 12 personnel too. Because we were kind of limited at tight end last year, but we definitely have more people. About Keith Randolph? Was he Illinois D tackle, right? Am I right about that? He was like a big run defender. It's hard to remember, dude. I watched so many draft prospects. I feel like when I was younger, I used to know all the names. Like I used to know everyone's name in the NFL, and as I've gotten older, I still am pretty good at knowing a lot of the names, but I don't know everyone like I used to. I got Mostert in fantasy, nice. I think Dolphins are a very good team to have in like any player on the Dolphins pretty much is a decent fantasy player. Yeah, I think I would say likely, but not 100%. But we'll see. Fair, yes. How big are Patrick and Noah? They're bigger receivers. Patrick's like really big, and Noah's like pretty solid size. They're bigger body guys, and I know Noah Brown can block too. My dog's barking. Yes, I also hope McMorris made it. It looks like I think the cutting of Needham gives him the best chance for that. Michael Thomas, yeah. Well, I just don't know what's up with Michael Thomas. I feel like we haven't heard anything about him in a while, so I don't know how healthy he is, or I don't know how he. I feel like once you signed OBJ, that was kind of like the end of for him. That possibility, but who knows? I would trade Jeff Wilson. I'm not against it, but I don't think the Dolphins will. Let's see. I have to look at Bleacher Report. Let's see if they actually say anything. They did not say anything helpful to me. There's no one with updates, man. It's crazy. Just trade for so much Justin Fields talk in here. We're the only team left? I don't think so. I mean, we've definitely made the cuts happen. Like they had to have happened by 4 p.m. Eastern. Like they had to put it in. They just haven't announced it yet. What the heck? Oh yeah, well. It's a tradition. Kind of. I think he's healthy though right now, to be fair. Looks like the Dolphins have to keep doing it though with the UDFAs. Like it's not that common to keep like I think they said it was the 4th year in a row keeping UDFAs on the roster, like having made the initial 53. Like, and we have a lot of guys that are UDFAs. Like we obviously just cut Needham, which sucks. He could come back potentially, but like Kohu, Bonner, our recent UDFA DBs. We also have Julian Hill, Brandon Peely are still around on the team who were UDFAs 2 seasons ago. Tanner Connor, if he makes it, was a UDFA himself. That was like 4 years ago now. Lots of UDFA talent that potentially made the team, and I love seeing UDFAs make it. I really do. It's one of my favorite like storylines to watch each year now. Yeah. Shout out to Andrew Meyer and Storm Duck to be the UDFAs this year, and I think shout out to a lot of these UDFAs because I think a lot of them if they didn't make the I know like Isaiah Johnson, Jason Maitre, they didn't make the main roster, but they definitely proved themselves to be like guys that should, like whether they get picked up elsewhere or they're on the Dolphins practice squad, they definitely proved themselves worthy to stick around and be developmental players for someone. I think Leonard Payne also is a guy that might be a UDFA that teams should look at. Mark Perry, another one. So all of those guys with potential. Matthew Jones, I thought, did some things decent. Like a lot of them at least showed me something, but Storm Duck was definitely the best in my opinion. I think the DBs were the best of the bunch. You just couldn't keep all of them. You have too many bodies in that group. It's just tough. And then Andrew Meyer made the most of his opportunities, and it looks like he made it. So that's nice. I saw someone say moves are out. The Miami Dolphins waived Ezu Kanma. Wait, that's the first surprise of the day. They waived Easy. Wait, who do we even have at receiver? We don't have anyone at receiver. Wait, what? Dolphins waived Blake Ferguson? What is David trolling? This is surprising. They waived / injured Blake Ferguson and Ezu Kanma. That's what David just said. I feel like these kind of were unexpected. Maybe they're trying to add. Okay, with these people getting waived, there's definitely gonna be moves made. There has to be, right? Like some type of person added, because I feel like those guys could have made the rosters, but still keeping the other guys you wanted to keep, you know? Wait, what? I mean, he's a beat reporter for the Dolphins. But I mean, it's his account. I mean, I don't know if they're going to tweet that out. Like sometimes Schefter and them don't always tweet out like the smaller stuff, you know? Oh wait, the Dolphins Twitter account tweeted this out. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me pull this up. Here. Okay. Get out of here. Okay. The Rhinos announced they've waived linebacker David. Okay, that was new. We haven't seen that one. Bird and Colbert, Cooper, we knew. Ezu Kanma, gone. Wow. Anything else here new? Daquan Jackson, we hadn't seen that one yet, but that was obvious. The team also waived, yeah. Ryan Hayes is gone. They waived Braylon Sanders, so they really don't have any running backs. They released Curtis Bull and Blake Ferguson. You know what this is? They probably waived / injured Blake Ferguson so they could keep someone on the initial 53 because they don't have a long snapper. They don't have another long snapper, right? So they got rid of the long snapper so they could keep someone else. We'll figure out who that is in a second, and then they'll probably bring back Blake Ferguson because they don't have a long snapper. No Gallimore, no Jonathan Harris. Yeah, no McFarland. Yeah. Makes sense. Is that it? Oh, and they put Craycraft on IR. So yeah, Craycraft and Cam Smith will be the IR returners, it looks like, right? Wow. Does that mean so McMorris, is that everyone? That's the 53 then? So McMorris wasn't there. So that means okay, I'm trying to do the numbers game because I still haven't seen like the official like 53. I'm sure someone will be on that like to put out the actual list so I can just read it. I don't have to do it myself. That means okay, to me that means they're going after someone. Okay, here it is. I got it, guys. Yeah, I wasn't lying, guys. Okay, here we go. Dude, they only have 4 receivers on the roster. That's actually insane. Okay. Here we go. Can you guys see this? Okay, cool. Tua and Skyler, the 5 running backs we talked about, they only kept 4 receivers. Tanner Connor made it. How many O linemen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 receiver or 10 O linemen. It's because they kept both Meyer and Cotton. Interesting. Okay, but this is what this tells me. They have to add receivers. So someone else might get cut. They don't have a long snapper also. So someone has to get brought back as a long snapper. They do need to at least add one more receiver. They kept 5 D linemen, the 5 that I guessed. At linebacker, they kept Bell, Brooks, Kamara, David Long, Ogba, Phillips, Riley, Chop, Tyndall, and Walker Jr. So they kept 5 off-ball linebackers. Then at corner, Bonner, Duck, Fuller, Kohu, Saran, Neal, Ramsey, Elijah Campbell, yeah. So the 5 safeties. Wow. Pretty surprising the way they did it. Liam made it. Well, Liam was making it. What the fuck? They moved an H and a receiver? I think of this as literally just like they got rid of our long snapper, and they got rid of more receivers than expected. I think they're trying to get some of these guys, like they'll try to get Ezukam into the practice squad, and then they'll elevate him, and he'll probably get on the main roster at some point. I think they're doing this because you need to do like to keep some of these people right now. Like they wanted to keep those 5 linebackers. They wanted to keep Tyndall, Riley, and Walker Jr. They didn't want to get rid of one. They wanted to keep McMorris, May, and Campbell. So they had to keep an extra safety, so they had to go less somewhere else. They wanted to keep an extra O lineman, so that's pretty. And they also, now, it also might mean they also wanted to keep Tanner Connor as an extra tight end. That means they might go after a receiver. Very interesting. Liam for a long time. Wow. I want to see, I need to see people's reactions. I already know Dolphins. I love going on Twitter after things. Damn. I think the most surprising thing was Ezukanma. And then the Blake Ferguson thing's surprising too, but like it's a long snapper, so like, and I think they're just gonna bring him back. But Eazy-E was the most surprising to me. Maybe they make a trade or something, but wow. Wow. Yeah, they're probably, because you can roll with 5 wide receivers. I don't think the Dolphins will roll with 5 wide receivers the whole season. Like, once their guys get healthy, they're going to roll with 6, because usually keep 6. You can definitely roll with 5. They only have 4. So I imagine once they move people around after the initial 53, they'll have 5, because they think they can roll with some tight ends, Jonnu. They can get the running backs more involved. But it was surprising. $2024 year of the white corner. I definitely missed some comments. Let me. Oh, get out of here. Okay. Nope. Yeah. Wow. Definitely some surprising stuff. But it tells me that I was gonna say if their roster, like having 4 receivers and no long snapper, 100% tells you they are going to make moves before the season starts. You obviously need a long snapper, and you're not going to have 4 receivers going into the season. It's just, so that means either you're going to wait for some people to go to the practice squad. You're going to see if you can get guys to the practice squad, and then you elevate them, and then until you elevate them, then move them around, you know? Because they don't want to risk cutting some of these guys and them getting claimed now. They think they might be able to get away with it later and then sneak these guys in the practice squad. It's like last year they kept Brandon Peely on the initial roster, but then they waived him halfway through the season, but then they got him on the practice squad at that point. Wow. They're going to try to get Easy on the practice squad then. Braylon, Sanders probably too. I wonder what happens. And they got rid of Blake. I wonder if they're just like, hey, Blake, we're going to waive you. We're going to bring you back. But like, we just need to do this. And it was an injury waive. And who claims a long snapper? And they got rid of Jonathan Harris. Only a couple. Wow. What are your thoughts on Duke Riley? Doesn't surprise me he made it. I'm not like, he's a special teams player, and I think they just trust him as a veteran guy. Like, I'm not super high on Riley. Like, Riley's a guy I could have easily moved on from, but like, he's an NFL level player. It's not the worst guy to have on your roster either. Here's the thing with Riley. Last year, Riley versus like Washington and like Dallas actually played pretty good, but versus the Ravens, he might have been the worst player out of anyone who stepped on the field that day. He probably was the worst player who stepped on the field that day. He was horrible. So it was very up and down for him performance-wise last season. Yeah, we just took a look at it. Crazy. Some of the moves. Unexpected, really. But Storm Duck and Andrew Meyer, the UDFAs that made it. We got Patrick Morris, which I'm a big fan of him, getting him in there. Wow. I do imagine Blake Ferguson will be back, though. If not, I mean, it's a long snapper, guys. I know people love Blake Ferguson. But wow. That was pretty surprising. How are most of the tweets I'm seeing right now are about Blake Ferguson, which is funny. It's really just a chess game. The Dolphins were clearly playing a chess game trying to get the right people on and off the roster, and we'll see who gets claimed. We'll see if any of these guys get claimed that they thought they might have been able to get back, and we'll find that out tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll get to see that information. So I might do a stream tomorrow. We'll see. I'm definitely going to do film breakdowns tomorrow, and I'll probably do it on like the guys that made the initial 53 that they're obviously trying to keep around, whether they're here on the 53 to actually start the season, because I could see them try to move some people off to the practice squad a little bit later on. But that's the initial 53, and things could change. Yeah. Yeah, we're really rolling with the tight ends this year. I do think we're going to try to run more 11, but obviously not at the start of the season. Start of the season is going to be all 21 and 12 personnel, and then 11 personnel will be our savior later on, I guess, which we'll switch to once OBJ and River come back. Damn. And I do imagine they'll try to get Easy back, but I do think Easy, out of the guys that got cut, I think Easy is one of the ones with the best chance of getting claimed. Wow. Who knew cutdowns could be so shocking? No wonder it took them so long to get the news out. Yeah, here, Marcel just tweeted out, Dolphins long snapper Blake Ferguson was released, but this is pretty common practice. He should be back in the coming days. I've seen teams do this before with the long snappers. Cut them, it's, doing the numbers in their head. They think they're going to get their long snapper back. And then try to, maneuver him back into the roster. Maybe here's the thing, they used Craycraft and Cam Smith, so you can only put 2 people on IR today, and then make them come back and be eligible for the season. But I think but now you can have I think then after the initial part, initial wave of things go through, then you can start putting players on IR. Maybe they put an Anthony Walker Jr. on IR. He goes on short-term IR, and I think you have 10 players you can bring back or something during the season. At least that was the rule last year, on the main IR list. And then maybe you bring back Ferguson or something like that. That's kind of the thought process of it. One of these guys we'll have to put on an injury list, and then you bring back Ferguson as your long snapper, because obviously Ferguson has to come back. You technically don't need to bring back, or a line snapper. Line snapper definitely needs to be on the roster. You technically could roll with 4 receivers. It'd be crazy, but yeah, wow. And to be fair, I think the reason they got rid of Easy is because they think if he does get claimed, there's so many receivers that just got released that are pretty good players. Out of the players that got released today, receiver is by far the deepest position that I saw. There's actual players out there that are that you can pick up, Wow. I think 8 can come back, source unknown. Yeah, it's either 8 or 10, something like that. I think it was 8 plus, or maybe maybe the 10 I'm thinking of is also the 2 short-term guys like Craycraft and Cam Smith. So maybe it's 8 plus those 2. Washington, yeah. Let's get Malik involved early. I love it. I'm a big Malik Washington fan. Let's get him involved. Wow. We only kept 4 receivers, and Malik made it, so. And Barrios, which I know people are not happy about, but. Wow, that was kind of surprising. Definitely going to see a lot of, people are tweeting about 12 personnel. Interesting. So what are your okay, before I end, what are your guys final thoughts about the roster? Guys excited that you saw made it? Any of your guys, any of the guys you're really disappointed that were released that you actually think will be gone? Because I don't think Blake is actually going to be gone, but Easy might be gone, which was surprising, I think, after that. Charmaine is not a fan of Barrios, but and I would have been down to get rid of Barrios, but we literally only have 4 receivers on the roster. That's crazy. Where'd you snag that loss from? It's all over Twitter now. The Dolphins Twitter account tweeted it out, so, and you can find it from the beat reporters are starting to tweet out the full list too. I do think from this list we might be active. We could be active in the claiming thing. We are a late claim team, so maybe we don't get anyone, but we might try to claim some people. I wouldn't be surprised if we're more involved than usual. And I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe we go after some people that you don't even have to claim, just potentially sign. Jeff Wilson over Chris Brooks. Yeah, Wilson didn't make it over Chris. Didn't surprise me. Not what I would have done, but I do think they're going to try to get Brooks back on the practice squad. And I will say, if you can get these guys back on the practice squad, guys, it's not that like big of a deal. Like you can, they might even see playing time at some point. Yeah. Marcel also tweeted out, he says, for reference, the Bills released his brother Reed while I was on that beat, simply to make room for a player who was going to start the year on an injured list. That was basically what I just said. So like sometimes teams release their long snapper and then put someone on an injured list and then bring them back. So no trades. Yeah, so no trades today. But I do think some teams are potentially still trying to make trades. Yeah, Aaron Brewer's not starting the season on PUP or injured reserve. A positive sign. That is true. Tanner Connor made the team. Patrick McMorris. Those were like Andrew Meyer, Storm Duck. Kind of the ones where we weren't sure. So it's nice to see that. Yeah, I think Connor might see some play this year. It'll be pretty interesting. I also think there's a chance Connor would be one that could go down to the practice squad later on, but they're trying to get him on this main roster right now. Yeah. If Chris Wilson gets signed to another team, that's going to be your fault. If people are watching my content, it might be my fault. I doubt scouts are watching it, though. I guess they could be looking things up online. Be like, oh, someone's talking about it. Let me just watch this and be like, oh, maybe I should go watch this film. That'd be pretty funny if I actually had that effect. I think it's fair, Christopher. I think it's fair to think that. I don't disagree necessarily. Yeah, it looks like that's the news for today. We'll see how claims play out tomorrow, but shout out to those guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good nonsense. Film breakdowns tomorrow for sure. Definitely at least one on some of the one of the guys that made the team. But yeah. Later, guys.